The other day at the family reunion, a long-lost cousin asked me if metalheads worship Satan. Truth is, just because I like bone-crushing riffs doesn't mean I pray to Beelzebub every night. Got me thinking though, how would you explain metal to a newcomer? Metal is intense vocals, pounding drums, heavily distorted guitars, thumping bass. In short, metal is strong expression, but it's more than just sonic elements. Metal is a way of life, an attitude. It's music for independent thinkers. Buckle up, because this video is a crash course on metal music from 1808 to 2023. Learn to finger the G string on level 69 and improve your own metal guitar skills with my free newsletter below. Learn more about composition and how to put together a great riff with my full music theory course. All of my courses, tabs, Discord access, and monthly lessons, practice plans to keep you on track are at Patreon, which is by far the best deal. Now, many people believe that classical music is just metal before electricity. The seeds of metal music started with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, completed in 1808. This is strong expression source material, evidenced by the Fate theme. It's like fate knocking at your door. Dun 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 dun. Fast forward to the early 20th century. In 1913, Igor Stravinsky released the Rite of Spring. This turned the world upside down and a riot erupted at the premiere. Rhythmic, harmonic, and melodic dissonance like we've never heard before. It made ears bleed. The most important early source material for metal music is Gustav Holst's Mars the Bringer of War, released in 1918. That tritone interval, the fortissimo brass, is the most pure form of distortion. Now, this inspired many metal bands directly, like Black Sabbath. Geezer Butler, the bassist, stole that main theme, and they even used the same key in the song Black Sabbath. Diamond Head would later rip off this piece as well, and Metallica even followed suit. The music in Mars the Bringer of War resonates with the universal collective consciousness of the metal spirit. The main primary tonal element in metal music is guitar distortion. Guitar distortion was discovered by accident in 1951. The Delta Cats were on the way to a recording gig and their amplifier accidentally got damaged. This produced that fuzzy sound that has now become an iconic element of metal. Blues, of course, is a crucial aspect of metal and has been a big influence. Bands like Led Zeppelin paved the way for heavier bands to come along. Think about the Immigrant Song. Then in 1968, Deep Purple pushed the envelope even further. They were a hard rock blues band. Now get this, Ritchie Blackmore, the guitarist of Deep Purple, actually used Beethoven's Fifth Symphony to create the most iconic guitar riff.
Bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum. And I thought, play that backwards. Put something to it, and you've got bum 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 bum. That's how I came up with it.
Hang on. Are you telling me
Yes.
that the famous riff of Smoke on the Water is from Beethoven?
It's an interpretation of inversion. If you turn it back and play it back and forth, it's actually Beethoven's Fifth.
035 is a universal musical phrase, and it demonstrates the connection between classical, rock, and blues. Many historians would agree that Black Sabbath is really the first true metal band. They formed in 1968 in Birmingham, England, and they actually worked in steel factories. And this is how metal got its name, because they were actually working in metal industrial factories. On the last day of work, Tony Iommi chopped off 2 of his fingers. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because Iommi would tune down his guitars to make them easier to play, and downtuning was much heavier. Pairing that with aggressive vocals, the pounding drums, and dark subject matter, and you get the genesis of metal. Now, in 1975, the new wave of British heavy metal hit the scene. You got Judas Priest. Now, Judas Priest took a lot more care in their presentation. They had the leather, the metal swag and style. Rob Halford was like a demon screaming straight from hell. Iron Maiden emerged in 1975. Dual guitar harmonies, lyrics about Satan versus Jesus. They're the only metal band that challenged Metallica. Over 100 million albums sold, and they're one of the most prolific metal bands with 17 records. I'm not gonna lie, at this point, metal enters an identity crisis. The 1980s saw the rise of glam metal, spandex, showing off the package, the androgynous appearance, tons of makeup. You can see this in bands like Van Halen, Aerosmith, Def Leppard, Twisted Sister, Motley Crue, Poison, and Guns N' Roses. Fortunately, at this same time, there was a counterculture going on with thrash metal. The big four thrash metal bands surfaced in Southern California in the early 1980s. You have Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. This was a rejection of 80s glam culture. Metallica in particular is by far the most influential metal band. They formed in 1981 in Los Angeles. They've sold 125 million records. They have 25 million monthly Spotify listeners. The sonic elements are speed, fusing punk and hard rock together, palm muting, socially conscious lyrics, focusing on the riff as the primary engine of the band. In the later 1980s, progressive metal becomes a thing. Dream Theater is the biggest band in this genre. You have operatic vocals combining time signatures that aren't just 4/4, odd stuff with Metallica riffs, extreme virtuosity. I mean, John Petrucci is a mega shredder. Neoclassical metal started picking up steam during this time. You have Yngwie Malmsteen fusing classical influences from Bach, Vivaldi, Paganini, along with the Deep Purple and harder rock stuff. Symphony X would come along later. They're by far and away my favorite neoclassical metal band. Now the question is, how heavy can metal get? Extreme metal sought to answer that question. Venom releases black metal in 1981. They are the founders of the genre, the most evil subgenre by far. Shock value, they're marketing geniuses, and their lyrics are about Satan and the occult. Chuck Schuldiner is credited with being the father of death metal, founding the band Death in 1983. Screaming vocals, dissonant harmonies. Cannibal Corpse then came along and pushed the envelope even further with Cookie Monster vocals. This is a new level of heavy. The secret is that extreme neck girth. We're talking at least 6.9 yards across. My buddy Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein from the Misfits calls him the Neck. The Swedish band Meshuggah is extremely important because they founded the djent genre. Their music is characterized by polyrhythmic complexity, 8-string guitars, very intellectual psychological lyrics. Now let's talk about modern metal. Who says you can't dance to metal music? Pantera are the inventors of groove metal. Dimebag Darrell was a guitar god in the truest sense. Feel, his personality was larger than life. Korn breaks onto the scene in 1993. I remember this well. There was a huge influence on me getting a 7-string guitar. Dual guitar orchestration, textural effects. Jonathan Davis channels so much emotion into his vocal delivery. Swedish band Opeth rose to power in the early 2000s. I remember getting Blackwater Park in 2001. A diverse range of musical ingredients, death, classic rock, screaming, even clean vocals. Gojira, the French environmental band, comes along. Tool, Avenged Sevenfold. Did I miss anything? I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comments. The question is, where does metal go from here? And will you be a part of the evolution? It's time to get inspired and ignite your passion. Commune with the ghosts of the past. You have something special to contribute. If you're not feeling like that at the moment, you're feeling kind of uninspired and demotivated, check out my Discord below. Daily practice routines. We talk about fitness and how to get jacked. It helps to have other people that you can connect and relate to. You can talk with me and other 6-string slayers fingering the G string on level 69. Don't stay stuck and allow your life to pass you by. It's time to seize hold of your potential and make the most of your power. May God bless Dave Mustaine, and I'll see you in the next video.